Yes, Mr. Valley.
Not at all. Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity. I just want to mention two things, Chair. Ms. Vilsnach had contacted me, and the telephone call was opportune because that was in the morning. It was, I think, after 10 o'clock, and I can check for accuracy if Chair requires me to do so. But at the time, we were still engaging with the hospital manager in our office with SEPS members in order to bring clarity to the question of who's authorized to be there and what they're authorized to receive, and also balancing what the hospital's processes and policies were. Ms. Vilsnach wasn't the only person who contacted me. I'm just checking on my email. Mr. Kerwin Pokpas of DI Attorneys also contacted me. And we had spoken briefly about how we saw the matter to proceed and how they intended to see the matter to proceed. And there was a suggestion that we convene a meeting with the evidence leaders who I understood was not available for the duration of that day. So it's not as if we simply sat back on our haunches and did nothing. We had engaged with Mr. Pokpas telephonically. He then sent us correspondence late that afternoon, and then later in the evening with their proposals on a redaction. So, Mr. Pokpas, if I can summarize the position that he had given to me was, we see your application for in-camera proceedings. However, our view and the evidence leader's view is that there's no application to hold the in-camera proceedings in camera. So we're not sure what you intend to address in the in-camera proceedings because, and please, Mr. Chair, I don't intend to address on the merits of the in-camera that's now disposed, but simply to give you context and insight into the conversation. It was, we don't believe you've given sufficient facts, and we say if we give too much facts, then we defeat the application itself. So let's talk about the redaction. That's what came later that evening was the proposals on redaction. The next morning I was able to respond to that proposal where I invited their insight or their recommendations on how they intended to proceed. So it places that statement that Ms. Hassam drew attention to earlier when she addressed Chair on we invite a commission to tell us what to do. So the engagement regarding how we thought the matter should proceed had occurred with my counsel prior to the statement to the media, but the engagement with Mr. Pokpas occurred subsequent, and therefore we could only come back the next morning. I just wanted to clarify the point that we were engaging not only with Ms. Vilsnach, but with somebody else as well. And then the second point, Mr. Chair, is that there were 3 disclosures, in fact. The initial disclosure, which occurred on the 15th of last month, involved the provision of Excel spreadsheets together with media files. Now, it's very difficult for us to determine the exact number of media files, but we estimated it to be between the order of 1,500 and 2,000 individual images or videos. So one can't really give an accurate picture there. We were left with an Excel spreadsheet, in fact 2 Excel spreadsheets, which in total came to 370,000 odd individual line items. When we say individual line items, we mean each individual message with what appears to be metadata, timestamps, the content, the sender identification, and the receiver identification. That's 370,000 of those line items, which we now have to go through and try to make sense of. So, in as much as Ms. Hassam says that they tried to put it in a better format, I agree. But that came a few days later, and I believe it was on the Thursday evening before the weekend's incident. That Thursday evening, we received a USB stick and a link to a Dropbox folder. And that had a number of the WhatsApp chats, which later then carried over to the final disclosed bundle. But not only that, it contained file metadata and a host of other documents which appeared to be forensic documents giving an indication of accuracy or authenticity which we couldn't really go into. We were interested in the chats. That came to a number of pages, which we didn't calculate at the time. We were simply trying to put it into a better format. Before we could complete that, Chair, that's when the third disclosure came, which was on Saturday afternoon, and a second email on Saturday evening this past weekend. And we tallied up the pages. That was 11,373 pages had we printed those documents as they stood in 3 files. File 1 was what Ms. Hessam describes, and I accept what she describes, a more streamlined version of the WhatsApp chats. And our estimation was that was about 6,000 to 6,500 pages of WhatsApp chats. What was new was the affidavits that form part of File 2, together with transcripts, which we hadn't seen as part of a disclosure, together with some other information, and the financial information, which, and I accept that there was a summary, or what appeared to be a summary in Excel format, and the source documents as well. All of that came to what we predict, or what we estimate to be about 5,000 additional pages. Now, it's not that we can simply take it at face value, because the Excel spreadsheets were the source documents on which the summaries were based. And when we consulted General Khan, our client, on Sunday, he said the figures can't be right, so we needed to interrogate them. So it's not as if this was information that we should readily have at our fingertips. We needed to firstly read it, understand it, engage with our client, be directed to the right person to give us definitive answers, and all of that takes time. So just to place it in that context here, I think you would then perceive the difficulties that we were trying to describe from that position. And in relation to the media statement regarding the information of what General Khan intended to address to this commission today, what my learned friend Mr. Khan had said in his affidavit regarding the headings, there's information regarding these rubrics that we had given, perhaps not in the detail that the evidence leaders expected or required of us, but it certainly was mentioned. And I don't want to mention it here because then I'm going to defeat the very purpose of that application. It was mentioned. It doesn't come out of nowhere, and that's the point that I tried to make to Chair. I'll leave my submissions there unless Chair has any further questions for me.
No, it's not to you, Mr. Valley. I'm just wanting to confirm whether I had understood Mr. Khan earlier on the last submissions of Ms. Hassan, and specifically how she proposes to proceed on Friday. I thought you had earlier said you would want to address that on Friday morning. Did I mishear? And if I heard you properly, is that still your position? Just so that there's no confusion about where we land.
We are uncertain at this time because we intend engaging on a number of issues. Of course, if we are unable to reach agreement or consensus on those issues, then we would look to you for directions on Friday.
Thank you.
The one thing for me, we would appreciate if you come back to us earlier than 9:30. We don't want to find out for the first time at 9:30 that there's another interlocutory application.
Absolutely.
Ms. Hassim, it looks like we are done, or is there anything else you think needs to be raised? I'm not affording you an opportunity to respond.
I don't need to respond to that.
Yes.
Chair, there was just one thing which I think my learned friend said was an offer to provide the J88 form in response to our letter of the 29th.
Yes, there was that.
So
yes.
if that could be made available. And then
Yes. May we leave it to the attorneys to interact on that, and I'm sure it will definitely be availed. Mr. Khan having made the point earlier today. Yeah.
Yes, Chair. Thanks.
Yes.
So that's the only point, really. And then we can adjourn. There is another hearing in camera to take place.
Yes. A ruling was made yesterday that we would hear the evidence of witness L in camera, so we'll basically adjourn for the day, and we will resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning in open session. Let's adjourn.
Thank you, Chair.